Ken Bailey.
Thank you all.
Hi.
Hey, Casey. Hi, Casey.
Don't get a parking ticket.
We just saw the guy go by.
I know,
Just-
but I had
I
parked
got-
there at a couple
I got
minutes
one
before
yesterday.
11, so I'm afraid.
I got one there yesterday.
You're gonna move?
Well,
You can move it.
We got a new
move
rule,
it, yeah.
pay with pennies now.
Yeah. On Elm Street, it's in spots.
Yeah. Pay with pennies.
Technically, there's only Casey and me or committee members here so far.
Right.
So,
Sorry.
but I'm expecting Brian, and he did mention to me that
Be late.
Equal Asian may be here.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
To do,
Talks about, I think, uphill, or whatever you call it. I'm not sure.
I thought he was coming to talk about energy or something.
Yeah.
We'll be ready.
Yeah.
The uphill ski race they usually have in the spring.
Yeah. All right. Oh. Before we get started, what else is going on around town? Anything?
It was a lot. Still working on the tannery thing, still working on energy things, still working on, but it's coming to fruition. Good news is progress, lots of progress.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. But other than that, we're getting fast into budget season. As Beth knows better than anybody, because we want to get a leg up on it early next year, which is only a few weeks away, right? It's as close as you think. But no, the attitude seems pretty good. I mean, so far so good. All the departments are working well. We're getting to some heavy energy audit stuff on buildings.
I saw them out here the other day.
Yeah, we're going to be doing quite a bit on that next year.
Yeah, it is.
No, it is.
It is something really, because of where I live and everything. What is the story, or what is the forward, or timing really on the Lyman Morse plan to put an additional dock out in
Years, literally, yeah. Well, there's no further, other than the defederalization thing we did for our own benefit also. There's no near-term action there.
we have no drawings or anything of it yet, so.
No, it's cartoons. There's some cartoons, but no, there's no drawings, there's no design yet.
Yeah. All right. So let's get started with just Casey and me here and just talk for different things, all right? Okay. And I'm gonna hold off approval of the minutes from the
Yeah.
October meeting because we don't have a
Yep.
quorum yet.
Yep.
But there's a copy here. Yeah, a copy here for everybody, even on the October meeting. Okay. Beth, can you just, I put down financial update, more about season tax sales and stuff like that. Can you give us an update on
Yeah. So for the month of, I don't know if I spoke on it last meeting, but for our early bird sales, which is the month of October, we well exceeded our budgeted amount, which was 250,000 plus or minus. We're well over that already.
yay.
So most likely, we'll see that kind of shift for day tickets. But people are spending money. People are just looking for things to buy, merchandise-wise.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Good,
That's our trend. Gift cards are flying out.
I see.
Yeah.
For all kinds of
Yeah,
merchandise.
people are buying experiences more than anything right now, I think, rather than junk.
Can they buy lift tickets?
So you basically put whatever denomination on a card.
And they do whatever they
They
want?
can eat, they can
Oh,
get a
okay,
ticket, they
okay.
can get rentals, they can lessen, anything we sell out there.
It's great.
Yeah.
Good.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
It's something that I had sort of seen on Facebook, about a little bit of a concern regarding if someone had a ticket for a child 5 and under. I don't have children 5 and under anymore, but I was just wondering what's going on there.
We give kids under 6 a free ticket with a paying adult.
Right.
And so, basically what happened several years ago is anybody that was under 6 could get a season's pass for free. But that didn't ensure us that they were there with anyone. And so it was a policy change that was put into effect that if Ray was going to bring his granddaughter, who's 4, Ray would have to buy a ticket,
I see.
and then she could get the free ticket, and that would, hopefully, they'd be skiing together,
Supervision.
basically.
Right, but it was like some issue of like the cost of the pass photo.
Or you can buy a season's pass for them. $50 for a Camden resident, $100 for a non-resident.
And we do have a lot of families, there are people that buy, we made a list.
So they can bypass the ticket desk.
Don't go to the ticket desk. So it's
Right.
a value to them too.
If you buy a family pass and there are kids that are that age, you don't have to pay for that.
So if I have a third child, which I'm not going to,
Yeah.
if there was, and I have a, 10-year-old, a 12-year-old, and then a 5-year-old, and I have a family pass, that 5-year-old gets the same
Yeah.
sort of pass for no
There's no
cost?
maximum on a family pass.
Okay, but that'd just be, but if I have a 5-year-old and I buy myself a season pass, and they are 5, and then they get the picture pass for no cost?
No.
Not in this policy. We're looking at changing that in the
What is,
future.
and what's the cost of it then?
$50 for Camden resident and 75, I'm thinking early bird,
It might, yeah.
and 75
Early
for
bird,
non-resident, and then I think it goes up to 25 on the.
Which is similar to the senior cost.
So ski
Which
passes
used to
are
be
now a
free
family
at
planning
70.
issue?
No,
So
this
Casey,
will-
this all changed when the senior pass changed as well.
Okay.
Seniors used to be over 70 for free, and they'd come in and get their ticket,
Right.
their pass.
Yeah.
That all changed when we put some type of contribution
Okay,
to it.
okay. I think you probably know the situation I'm
Yeah.
referring to.
Yeah.
Okay, because I thought that it was a free pass if you were 5 and under.
Free ticket.
A free ticket.
Day ticket.
Day ticket. It's not a
With a
free.
paying adult.
With a paying adult. It's not a free season pass.
We were having people come out of the woodwork to get their young children a pass, but the parents, we didn't know who was skiing with them.
And would the kids just be left to ski on their own? Okay, okay,
Yep.
okay. I just wanted to be more informed
Clarify.
about, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to look at it for next year. It seems like if the parents have a pass, we could be able to work that in before they have, because it's basically after 3 in the family, it's worth it to get the family.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But until that 3-year-old
Yeah,
turns
exactly.
6.
Right, right. Okay, okay, thanks.
And you'd mentioned just briefly about the cost of printing it. It's not just a cost. There is question that we've had a couple people come in and ask about the actual physical, how come it costs so much? And if you think about it, it's only really on a weekend, it's only 2 day tickets for a full day meets that cost. So if you're gonna bring your child in and buy day tickets or get day tickets for free, so, it can't be like a $10 just
Yeah.
an
It
administrative
was a
cost.
way for us to track it better, and for those that really want it and bypass the ticket, they pay it. We have probably 20 people that do that.
That come in and get a day pass every time.
They come in and pay for the $50
yeah, yeah,
for the youth to have their, so they can bypass the ticket desk.
Okay,
But it's a personal choice, and, yeah.
Options.
So,
okay.
This second item here, staffing vendor issues, I just put that on there just because we haven't talked about that at all. Are there any this year, like with the vendor issues, everything's all set?
We went last select board meeting, well, the last select board meeting was canceled, but the
Right,
one
one
before that,
before,
we went, Mark got his contract signed.
Right.
Audra signed that, and the board voted to accept him back again this year with a food trailer.
Yep.
So we're going to have a food trailer located the triple base and the maintenance shop. Mark's going to kind of be right in between there.
Right.
So basically at the same level of the deck, but over on the other side of the snow. He's gonna offer burgers and dogs and, Friday night, maybe beer. Friday night when we do the ski racing. And he will have a snow fenced off area where folks have to stay and that, so other people don't ski into it either, so. Yeah,
As an alternative, an additional place to buy food too.
and it will free up some lines on weekends, I would think, so.
Especially in good weather days.
Gosh, if we could even get, it just makes me think of Mount Abram with that, you know, how they have it's almost like a greenhouse thing, and it collects the solar, and it's so warm, you know what I mean?
I do.
With some picnic tables in there.
Something maybe for future,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah. Just that, you know, the overflow.
Because we're such sardines right now.
Oh,
Yeah,
such sardines.
Seating can be a problem, especially if you want to be indoors.
I know.
And/or
yeah.
equipment and
The
helmets,
thing is,
gloves.
here's the thing.
Exactly.
Okay.
Staffing. We had our staff orientation on Sunday. We had over 115 people there. Oh, here comes Jeff. And it was a great show. We got everybody in. We went over all of the sexual harassment and bloodborne pathogens and all the things that we have to do every year with our seasonal staff. And we'll have a makeup for the ones that couldn't make it. I think it's over the holiday, but we're going to do like a Sunday afternoon, so.
Good.
Yep, so
Good, great,
we've got a good group this year.
yeah. Great. And 115, is that up significant from past years, or?
We had 105 or so
Okay.
last year.
Yeah, I just think a lot of people were able to go because of, I think the later we were.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. Most of our lifties are females this year, so it'll be interesting. A lot of females.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great.
All right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lift attendants? Lifty, yeah.
okay. Also, on policy issues, and Beth, you passed, I made copies of this also, but which you emailed to everybody on the winter policies, and then also on the snowball price list.
Yes.
If you want to just go over those quickly.
Sure.
That-
So it's been industry-wide, AT skiers, they're folks that like to skin up. I'm giving you words that maybe you don't necessarily hear all the time, but they have these skins that they put on their skis so that they don't go backwards. And they're able to skin up the mountain. They take those off, put them in their backpacks, and then they choose a route down and ski.
Yeah.
Beautiful, brand-new corduroy, first thing in the morning, before anybody else. It is what folks are doing for an exercise, basically.
Yeah.
And it's growing like you wouldn't believe. Our shops that we are partners with are selling all kinds of AT skis. So we needed to come up with a Camden Snowball policy a lot, and we did some research on other mountains and what they're doing, what they're seeing, and we're pretty much par with them.
Good.
And I should say, our staff has been begging for some good ground rules because it's very dangerous out there, low visibility. People in the cats don't necessarily, once you get to the knoll, I mean, you don't know what's below or what's coming behind you. We almost saw a dog get tilled up last year.
Porcupine did get tilled up.
Yep, a porcupine did get spread out on the snow. So anyway, we got several.
Let me just add the other safety issues when, at the end of the day, we don't leave the office and close down officially until Ski Patrol has designated, they've skied every trail and they've cleared the mountain. And so the other issue is that they were running into people that were skinning up while they were trying to say, okay, we're done. And, you know, in terms of their responsibility. So that was the other, we needed a time to be able to say, okay, by now you're done, and we do have the flags out there.
Yeah. So we got a group of people that are interested in this, the shops that sell these skis, us in-house, people in maintenance, people on patrol, to help us write this. And it may need to be tweaked, but this is what we're gonna do for this season, and, we've put it out there on our website. We have a red flag flying as we speak because we're making snow, we've got high voltage electricity on the mountain, we have machines. Lots of things going on. So folks are welcome to come out and still use the cooler trail and access the Rollin Road trail system, but we're not allowing anyone on Alpine trails at this
And
moment.
they should not be on the Hosmer Brook Trail because they've got to cross over one of the places where we don't want them, which is across the Alpine trails, or back through the maintenance department where there's tons of equipment to access that trail. So they really just, for the time being, stay over on the cooler trail, please.
You did a good job getting that notice in Penn Bay Pilot.
Yeah,
and
Polly did that.
Because it was well-read, you could tell, that was right there in the front, it's like, well, people can't say they didn't tell us.
Well, it's very interesting because we put this out on Facebook and people say, you know, we have a huge cone as we come into the gate. Half of the gate is closed.
Right.
It says stop. No access to Alpine trails. Oh, some people are like, oh, I didn't know that was for me, and they'll just go.
We still had to ask people to get off the mountain.
Yeah.
Dog walkers, sledders, that first snow.
Yeah.
We have someone who parked his car, took 4 dogs out of the car, went through the maintenance department. Parking lot is behind the building and up the Hosmer Brook Trail. We think that's where he went. So we've
There
got
is a
some
no
problems
dog
with some,
policy for the
In the
ski
winter,
season,
yeah.
during the winter, yeah,
Yep.
beginning of December 1, yeah.
yeah.
So we've got some issues, and we're trying to be lenient while we get people on the learning curve. But
Yeah,
I thought it was well written.
thank
I thought it
you.
was good. I didn't know if you copied somebody else's. It was good.
Pieces we got from other places.
Yeah, it was a good idea. Doesn't matter.
was a-
Good.
I did have a question for because I was thinking of end of day and suite. And if a person is going up and they're going down,
They'll turn you around.
doesn't this say, you can continue because we're closed? Because it says when you're closed, you can ski, at your own risk. That was my only question.
Right, but we don't close until they come down.
Joe.
And patrols,
So that's
duty
sort of-
is
that's
to
sort of
make
fuzzy.
sure, it is fuzzy.
Yeah.
But that's why we're hoping, patrol's duty is to clear the mountain and know that there's no one out there stuck in a ditch, you know,
Right,
or
right, yeah.
for whatever. So right now, they turn people around, make them come down.
And they will do
then
that.
they'll say, mountain sweep, mountain's clear,
Now
closed,
you're on your own.
now they can go.
So then they go back.
Yeah.
Unless the flag is flying because we've got
Right.
groomers out there.
No, that's fine, that's fine.
Right.
Yeah, the red,
They
green
just have to
thing,
start over again. It's sort of at a starting point.
to reset.
Right.
As long as everybody's clear.
Yes.
Okay.
We've tried to make it as black and white,
It seems really clear.
because
It's
it used to be
concise.
gray.
Yeah. it's
So if I
concise.
go over there at 4 a.m. for like a sunrise ski, if there's a red flag out, I cannot go up.
Nope.
If there's not a red flag,
It'll
and
be a
I,
green flag.
and that would mean I can go.
Yeah.
And,
That's on the that's on the Alpine trails.
Right.
and we have installed a TV screen in the window of the patrol room. So you can pull your car up, see what the designated trail is that you can go up for your sunrise ski,
Yeah.
and maybe come down.
Because we've got 3 trails designated right now, decided as to what they're going to be. And so we could say, okay, groomers are going to be on this trail, these 2 trails, and then you guys can go up this one if you want to. Early morning while the groomers are out, kind of thing.
Okay, good. Well, this is really good.
Yeah, thanks.
This is really good. Yeah,
We've needed it for a while, so.
all right, fine. And the snowball price list that's here?
Yes. Fee schedule, this is what is going to the board. You guys haven't seen it yet?
It's going to be on next Tuesday.
Now, this was, you're looking at it, discussing it, you won't vote on it to the following?
That's correct.
Okay.
It's just a look, I guess we have questions.
Right. Right.
On all fee schedules.
Yes, everybody's.
Can I ask why the fees went up? Or why they're
Everybody told me you
proposed?
were rich.
Huh? Yeah, exactly. Secret's out.
Requested by the select board?
Sorry?
You're asking why I'm suggesting they go up? Well, for a couple of reasons. They've been the same for at least 3 years now.
Okay.
Minimum wage is going up again this year to $12 an hour. And everything costs more. Electricity costs more. Wages are costing us, more with minimum wage moving up. Just all of that.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to be reasonable and this is what, the board will vote on these recommendations, and they may say, maybe you can only go up 1%.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
And, okay, okay. Well, I just was curious, I was wondering about the idea of the free Wednesdays and wondering well, wait a second, we're on the one hand making it free for certain people, but then if you do bypass, it's more expensive, that sort of, I don't know, I was a little bit wondering about that.
They may vote and say no change to Camden costs. That's been seen before.
Camden cost is still 25% off for lift tickets, as I read here. That's still the way.
That's correct.
You haven't changed that.
That's correct. That, and we added a Camden 2-hour ticket for 16.
You'd be busy.
Yeah. But we didn't see season pass sales decline.
Just to be clear, the Camden resident doesn't get another 25% off that.
Not the 16, no, that's just a special ticket.
You need to make that clear.
Yeah, we can do that. You're right. The 25 off is on their choice of ticket other than that special 2-hour one. How's that?
Got it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not even sure I would apply 25% to the 3-hour ticket either. But that's a discussion point. Right now.
Well, I mean,
Maybe what we do for publication is we have a column that is for Camden residents. And we
That's
just
probably a good idea.
maybe make it a different color, a little lighter, and put it over there and calculate what the price is.
You want to round off to.
We don't want change. We don't deal with
If you
change.
take 25% of an odd number, you're going to get a number like 63
Yeah.
cents, round it
Yeah.
off.
So we'll create an additional column and figure out what that number is for
Yeah.
You can
people.
say on average is 25% discount. It may be 24.2, it may be 25.7. That's okay.
Yep.
Just round it off.
right. Good.
What are the free Wednesday plans?
That we'll be discussing.
We discussed.
Yep.
So that's,
As well as town employee.
the select board meeting on what, the 17th?
They're just they are within themselves discussing these. And then the following, which must
Okay.
be in January, they'll be voting. So
But
if
these are
we
the-
wanted to have any input, the
Right.
January meeting will be the
These
one.
are the suggested
This is
prices for
my
next year.
suggested
But these are the
prices.
suggested prices for
Yes.
next year's.
The 2021.
2021, yes.
Yep, okay.
The FY 20 line, that column to FY 20 line is what we currently have.
Right.
Yeah, 2 columns, couple columns won't be good.
Please also take note on the last page, wait, not the last page. The second page, under season tickets. As well as this uphill policy, uphill people want a season's pass. So
Or going to have to
they
have.
would like us to create a season's pass for uphill travelers.
What does that uphill, what do you mean? Uphill. What's
The
that?
AT skiers.
Oh, okay.
And
Coming in and get a daily ticket for $10.
And so at the end of that season ticket on the second page, I've added an uphill ski pass for Camden residents for $50 and an uphill ski pass for non for $100.
It's 50%, that's a big discount.
Oh, I see it.
And this is a new product, so I do need the
I see.
board's permission on that. But I want to do this for a couple of reasons. Number one, we'll be able to have a name and an email. And we can say, Jeff Scott, I saw that you were ATing on Clipper and the red flag was out and you were not obeying our rules.
We'll be
But I had a
punished.
ticket.
Yeah.
But it also allows us to know who the AT skiers are and let them know special information.
Yeah.
If we need to send out an email to
So
people.
it's been zero.
Yeah.
No, well, when we're open and operational, they have to buy a $10 ticket.
Oh, I see, I see,
But non-operating hours, it's free.
I see.
Yeah, of course. Okay.
So the $50 would be for the whole season, for example.
Yeah.
For next year.
What?
If you have a season pass for downhill, do you have a season pass for uphill?
Yes, it counts. Yep. And we have quite a few that do currently buy a season's pass. But.
Good.
Because they
use-
want to support, because they know they're using the mountain.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's good. I
That's
mean,
why, that's the buzz.
right. I mean, it's been one member who's not here who's been consistently saying that, instead of all these giveaways, have the users of our facilities pay something for.
Well, $50 is not gonna pay for what they're getting for beautiful corduroy snow. But they're not currently paying for it either.
Every morning, Rochelle and I open up the lifts, do all the checks and everything. And you got 10, 15 people going up Foxy or whatever, that's, they're skiing on
Yeah.
Groom Trail, I mean.
Right,
Oh, I am. I only have that page.
right. Okay.
What does the committee feel? Do you feel it's too little of a
I
payment?
think for the first year
It's a
to
good
start.
start. It's a good
I think
start.
It's a good start, really. I don't think you should have anybody arguing about $50 or $100.
But I think what you bring up is a good point, is that you would like to, as marketing people, but also as responsibility, you'd like to know who's using the mountain.
Yeah.
So that idea of selling that kind of ticket,
Yeah.
it just brings you back to, it's accountability. You're gonna be able to take care of the mountain if you know how to get in touch with that person who's
Yeah,
participating.
good.
If labor, just caution on one policy of increase, if you're using the idea that labor is going up, then really go up across the board, and wouldn't lessons go up too?
Yeah, everything. Well,
I mean, I'm not suggesting you do that, just be careful of consistency in the argument, that's all I'm suggesting. Frankly, few percent inflation, is what it is, but just think about those kind of consistencies, and have a reason for not. And maybe there's not a reason not to do it.
And maybe you don't is because you're not increasing the lesson, but to be able to take the lesson, you've either got to have a daily ticket or a season ticket, and you've
point.
already paid through
Good
3%.
point. But
well,
that's-
and I will say
That's
that
good logic,
with lessons, we're only paying the instructors when they're teaching.
of course.
They're not, when they're sitting in the lodge, they're not getting an hourly rate.
Full-time employees.
We have a handful of full-time, but most of them are an hour here and an hour there.
Per diem.
Yeah.
All right.
Just for a touch thing, and I have one thought. You may want to do a season pass for uphill skiing for families too. I don't know, like for $100, because I've noticed a number of fathers and daughters and sons going up, so a couple people, or at least a youth maybe, I don't know.
A youth ticket?
Yeah, I mean, it's less. And for a benchmark, Kingdom Trails, which is the big one, they charge $75 a year for a season pass.
For biking
They're,
at Burke?
they are cross-country and mountain biking. So they groom in the winter.
Right.
So it's for both.
So 75 is for the whole year?
year.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's a deal. So $50 is like right in the right range. And then they do youth and family.
Maybe we'll do a $25 youth ticket?
I don't know, it's, I don't know.
But a youth might want a regular seasons pass, and that
Yeah,
counts.
Yeah, which is great.
So, okay.
Okay, fine, all right.
It might be just a typo, the 2-hour Camden resident, you can only use the 2 hours in that time period, is that what it is? 10 AM to 3 PM?
Yeah, because that 3-hour evening ticket comes into effect.
So you can do a 2-hour anywhere in that window of
Yeah.
5 hours, okay.
90% of the time, it's people taking a lunch, 11.
Of course, which is great, that's great. I was looking at 10 AM to 3 PM, it's not 2 hours. That's fine, that's,
Now, Okay, just moving on, and the Ragged Mountain Foundation, anything more about, I think it was brought up on Lodge?
Nope, not since that workshop.
Yeah,
No.
I know we've been trying to put together, and been a little busy, but another meeting with Ragged Mountain, it'll probably occur in January now, early January.
Fine.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Is the foundation set on what money they have right now guaranteed to lodge? Because I'd love to see tar all the way in on that one side of the,
That's in my capital improvement projects.
Okay.
Not foundation related, not sexy
well,
enough, Stuart.
they built the original parking lot, but I mean, if you had tar all the way in, it'd take care of all those ruts.
That's what I have, that's what we would like to, do, and that's what
We
we,
have two problems, we have parking and we have a road problem, and they're both not good.
right.
But we had a funeral, a friend of mine had a funeral 2 years ago at the lodge.
Yeah.
You talking about the snowball parking? Or-
Yes.
No.
And the access.
Everyone parked the old way, this way,
Yeah.
instead of
Yep.
the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And I bet you got 50 or 60 more cars in there. So I don't know if you want to redesign the parking lot again after everyone's got used to parking this way from the old way, or
Okay, all right. I'm going to skip quickly over to Jeff with disc golf. Is there anything that we need to know now or
No, I
time-wise?
think you've gotten all your stuff off.
Everything's off.
Everything's off, yep.
Right,
Took me a couple extra days and I was expecting, you're just lining up transportation, but I got everything down off of there before you guys made snow.
Yep, good.
good,
Yep.
good. And any update on how many people used it when it was out there this fall?
No idea, to be honest. I just know that there was a lot more people than I was expecting.
Right.
Which
Yeah,
really
you
kind
had
of
said
blew
that,
my
right.
mind. Really
Good.
did.
Awesome,
That's good.
yeah.
As far as, what I've been doing, right now I'm working on, still raising more funds because 18 holes is gonna take a little bit more money. And also, what was the other thing I was gonna, oh yeah, I'm working on getting in contact with the Samoset. They have 9 baskets on their property. Nobody uses them. So I'm trying to get my hands on those. And that'll get me halfway there.
Sure, yeah.
They do have professional grade baskets in their grounds.
But nobody uses
Isn't that
them.
funny?
Nobody's using them.
And this is a perfect location,
Yeah.
you know?
Their problem is they're charging, if you're not a member of their gym or whatnot, they're charging $25 and they only have 9 baskets out there. Ain't nobody plays disc golf gonna pay $25 unless you got a chairlift ride to the top or golf carts like they do out in Appleton.
Yeah.
They just made a foolish mistake is all I
Good
think.
exercise.
They should let anyone play for free, is what they should do.
So I'm trying to snake those baskets off the court. I know their groundskeeper, Don Delfonso, he's getting.
Dan, and I just hired him.
Really?
He's a lifty this winter.
Really, 'cause I'm looking to talk to him, and
Yeah.
I hear he's just fed up with mowing around him all the time.
Okay, there you go.
So,
Dan, he's a real
Put in a
super
good
tall
word.
guy, he's a big guy.
he worked there 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, yeah.
Good. Good.
Ray, I'm sorry, going backwards here, but do you, on the rates, can we get any metrics on how much money generally per year we make on daily lift tickets for Camden residents versus non? Do we have that metric or not?
No,
No, because we don't sell them.
because there's not a Camden versus an in-day tickets. It's only season passes. We can do it to season passes.
Well, Camden residents get 25% discount on daily passes.
Day tickets. This year, not last year.
Thank you.
Okay,
We'll be able to track that this year. Yeah.
okay. Jeff, I'm just going to say, I mean, you're welcome to come to all of our meetings, but, I don't think we're really going to be
Talking about it till
talking
spring,
about
right?
disc golf until spring, so.
But you and I should have
Right.
some conversations offline.
anytime you have a strange odd thought, just send me an email and I'll be
Right.
more than happy to respond to you.
What about plans?
Maybe
for the layout?
April, invite him back.
He's invited all the time, but I
Okay.
mean,
Yeah, just
yeah,
keep sending me the emails like you guys have been when each meeting is.
Yeah.
and
Okay,
I'll peruse
fine.
your agenda, and if I see disc golf on there, I'll be here.
but I think the the key things are going to be, the layout,
Placement.
placement, promotion of it, and then also any financials
Yeah, and/or liabilities.
and liabilities.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Not a problem. I'll
Good.
keep trucking away through the wintertime. Like I say, feel free to email me whenever you like.
Of course.
And, yeah, I'll be.
Right. But as I said, you're welcome to come to all of our meetings. It's not necessary, that's
Well, now
all.
that I have the kitchens accustomed to me walking away for an hour every second Wednesday of the month, it's not a problem.
Okay, fine. Pathways Committee.
Pathways, what do I have? So I try to think of how to relate this and what you guys are interested in. I think the section of the Riverwalk by Knowlton Street is done. I met with Dave St. Laurent to talk about how to mitigate some of the erosion that's happening. And that'll be a process for next year for two reasons. One is because the ground's frozen, and when you want to have grass regrowing after you do stuff, it's not going to grow. And the second one is that we need to get a temporary construction easement on the Lions Club property, because you'll be driving across it.
Sure.
And so,
Sure.
so that'll be a process. Does anybody have a connection to the Lions Club?
Bob Oxen.
Wouldn't worry about it too much.
Bob is not the right guy to go to. No, he's not the right connection.
Isn't Nikki Bland,
Yeah,
part of the Lion, she's got like the youth going.
I'd go with her.
Nikki?
And how do you know her?
I'll give you I'll give you her contact info.
She works at Canyon Coast Real Estate.
Okay. Right. That's that one, and then the other one is, so we spent quite a bit of time talking about this, and I wanted to share it with you, because it may roll over with your considerations, is that the town has a big project redoing the wastewater treatment plant. And there is concern within the committee that we don't have an opportunity for input on that. And our angle is awareness of the Riverwalk, future Riverwalk. But it goes beyond that too, because there may be an opportunity to consider where fence placement is and things like that around and just look, another lens to look at it that may relate to the ball fields or bleachers or something like that. Because and parking up behind there, up behind the ball fields at the school.
Yeah.
So we are going to push a little bit on that, the Pathways Committee, to try to get Dave to talk a little bit more. The issue is that the last time I think I talked to Dave, he said they've gone through 3 design rounds so far. And so in my experience, when you work with MDOT, when they do 3 or 4 design rounds, by the time you get in on it, that's too late.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
And
right.
even if you get into design 1, it may be too late because they may blow it off, but at least,
Yeah, well, we did discuss this yesterday, actually.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, we did, because I agree with you. First of all, 80% of the money of a project is defined in the first 20% of design. So there's a couple of reasons, there's a couple of reasons for, well, think of it this way.
Oh, no, because
When you're
that
building a
money's-
building and you decide it's 50,000 square feet, you just defined 80% of the cost of the building. If it's 40,000 square feet, different ballgame. So what we talked about is a couple of things, and we haven't, one, do we bring it to a select board discussion on the wastewater treatment plant design and its progress for many considerations, not least of which is what Jeff is talking about, or do we do a workshop? And there was debate about that.
the workshop would be great.
Might see, but I'm not the one that makes that decision. There's 5 of us have to make the decision. And in fairness, we've had a lot of workshops, but I think that's the right. So I think you're correct, Jeff. If we wait much longer than early January, we're going to have issues. Because
Yes,
it'll be too pregnant, frankly, at that
Right.
point.
So the voice is, when does the community or pathways in particular, or Parks and Rec, have the opportunity to give input. That's the key.
It's got to be now.
Well, yeah, I don't know.
Whatever
So-
now is, it's going to be soon. You can't wait for 2 or 3, 4 months. And when they've done design, it's probably conceptual design changes. That's what they've been doing. Do I locate the building, the new building here
But
or
they've
here?
got like transformers already.
Well, that's one of the issues, the transformers, but you can certainly discuss that. Is there other alternatives to it?
Big ideas.
Or what considerations for land use for energy? There's all kinds of things we want to be able to stick our oar in. And one of them on the list is certainly, let's not do anything stupid now that preempts doing something smart later. Can it be done? We'll ask those questions.
We don't know. And we tried this with the rebuild of the middle school, and ultimately we lost. And we started that 4 years before the middle school was started to be built.
Lost in what way?
Well, it's their
Consideration of the-
footprint.
Consideration
Far
of the
gone. It
Riverwalk.
was too far gone.
Consideration of the Riverwalk, consideration of the Riverwalk. In the end, they overbuilt, and there's no room for the Riverwalk.
That's correct.
So-
Jeff's correct.
Back to
So,
that. Go ahead.
so my intent
We're working
is still
on
to push for a workshop
We're still working on that.
next month.
Back when I was a kid, well, not, long before I was a kid, in the old days, they had Trotton Park there. And down where the middle school is, down where Roscoe
Really?
McConnell lives, there used to be the old original path.
Can you see it?
Well, I'm talking about back in the sixties and seventies, it was down.
Yeah, but
Well, if it's
sometimes.
still there, that gives
Trotton,
you,
like a
that
regular,
gives you, because it's been-
Grandfather.
Yeah, it's
Grand-
been disturbed.
Trotting path?
they had a,
Yeah, right, yeah, there's, I've seen pictures of that over, you know.
Rode a horse over?
From
it
above.
came around, and it came down
No, I
by,
didn't do that.
by, the sewer plant and where the YMCA is, then back up there.
You're kidding.
There's got to be a picture at the library.
Yeah, I was gonna say, go to the,
Historic.
yeah, I bet there's
Oh,
something.
boy.
You're going to bring something to the library, are you, Jeff?
No, but when I was a kid, down playing the river.
Did it come up by the school?
It was school wasn't there, it's just an old wooden building back there.
Gets too excited, we're not doing a trotting park.
That was before kids went to school.
That had to have been the 50s?
Oh, I better
No,
not.
back in the old days.
Oh, old.
It was there when I was.
1850s.
They still do it in Union, they have the
Getting excited.
trotting park there.
There's a picture in one of Barbara Dyer's books, it's got the Wooden High School and the Mary Taylor, and then
You never know.
Yeah.
So then the last one is that in January, and Ray, you may have gotten an invitation
Not yet,
for the summit.
not yet,
You didn't get it?
no.
I think I did.
From Linda Clancy? It's,
Yes.
It's to talk about, from Linda Clancy, it's to talk
Right.
about where people are, various groups in our area, Rockport, Camden, pretty much.
Is that gonna be like January 17th?
It's something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
I don't
yeah.
exactly. Wait,
Right.
maybe I wrote it down. January 23rd.
23rd, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and it'll be like, development directors, public works people, just saying, hey, this is what we're all doing. Let's look at it up on a map and see how it all connects and where the missing pieces are. It's just big picture stuff.
Yeah. Good.
So that's moving along.
Is it regional or is it just Camden?
We talked about that too. And we're gonna, because just the bandwidth, we're just gonna keep it Camden and Rockport.
Okay. Good. All right.
But like Georges River Land Trust is gonna come. So it goes
Well,
beyond.
they have some pieces in Rockport.
They do, but
Yeah.
yeah, no,
Right.
Rockport and Camden.
Right. Okay, good.
Thank you.
January 23rd, good. Okay.
Here's a
Thank you.
folks. There's a
Thank you.
doodle. I just forwarded
There's a
it
doodle
to
poll.
you, and I forwarded it to you.
All right.
It's a doodle.
Yeah, it's a Thursday evening in January, which is not definitely perfect for us.
Take care, Jeff.
but-
Guys, have a good one.
Take care.
third week in January.
Okay. All right.
It's all right, we'll figure something out. At Flatbed.
All set, thank
All
you.
If you hold the meeting in one of the, in like a room like this, we can watch video of it later.
Right.
Actually, that came up. We were gonna have it at.
Flatbread.
At Flatbread, so that people could get food and stuff like that, and that's what we're gonna do. But then somebody said, is it legal? Can we do that?
You do what, Jeff?
Hold that sort of.
Summit, yes, you
summit
can.
meeting
It's just a
at
prelim,
Flatbread,
we're not
because it's
voting or
discussion,
anything.
we're not doing anything, we're just sharing information.
I don't see any legality issues there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't see any legality
No.
issues.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because they're town people there. They'll be
So,
Well, we're just there to talk about what we have.
yeah.
We
going
have,
on.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
On toboggan committee, Holly, do you want to say where we are?
It's just, things are coming along. We've got a lot of the returning sponsors. I'm fielding a lot of extra calls from vendors in the last week or two that want to be there. So I'm feeling like I'm getting too many vendors.
Food or other?
Food.
Just food, okay.
But things are coming right along with that. And our next meeting, if anyone wants to come, is December 20th,
Yeah.
Friday morning at 8 at the Snow Bowl.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, I think, I think from my perspective, being on the committee, it seems that we don't have some issues that we've had in the past. Really, so, looks good.
Farley and Son was out and they
They're there
fixed,
again. Someone's there this morning.
they're fixing the chute.
It's beautiful.
Yep.
Good.
So,
Good idea.
Well, as long as he says it's okay, then we're
yeah,
all set.
he's been overseeing the project.
They replaced the telephone poles and you can see where they really it looks nice.
Yeah, yeah,
Be a smoother ride.
right. And
That's great.
Ready for you, Ray?
what? And just to knock on wood, we've had no problem with beavers this year.
Well, the deceiver is in there. It's installed. Owen is going to dive over this next stretch and see if they are able to get in or do anything. But for the 72 hours that we've made so far, there haven't been any issues, so.
I was looking at it Sunday, and the way they made it, it looks like the beavers can't plug it up like they did.
Well, so there are holes, so the little ones could probably still get in there, but they can't bring anything like in with them.
Logs or
'cause,
sticks, yeah.
they're carrying it like this.
Dog going
I
across
don't think they know enough to carry it like this.
It looks like a lobster trap, really.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right,
So
good.
we'll see.
Good.
And Tom's going to be starting to make snow again, I think tonight, he
Nice.
said.
Yeah, so.
Okay, fine.
Still hoping for the first day, that Saturday of vacation.
21st, shoot.
Okay.
Saturday.
Couple of things we talked, Tannery Park, I don't know of anything going on there at all.
Anything
Well,
back from the
they al-
tests?
They've almost finished the analysis of the samples. I haven't, there's no report yet.
Right.
If I had to guess, I think high probability, there are no showstoppers.
There what?
There are no showstoppers we think are not 100%, but it's a high probability.
Okay.
Now, the only issue that I know was found was a automobile-sized area of petroleum pollution, which is excavatable.
Okay, good. When that type of excavation or whatever is done, is that going to disturb the trail?
It didn't.
It will. You're going to have heavy equipment going across it, it'll disturb it. They'll have to recover it.
Just redo it.
And repair it, they have to repair it. Well, remember, if there's issues going on with, says that the encapsulation of the site will include some of the area between the trail and the water,
Yeah.
it's going to get disrupted, so.
Okay,
Do we have the money to do that?
And DEP says that there's if it comes out that way in the analysis, that they'll considering additional funding.
From the brownfield thing?
Great.
so DEP funds could be used to repair the trail or
Absolutely.
anything like that?
Well, I mean, yeah, remember, you're getting the end of the day, you're.
Restore.
I mean, it's kind of a not expensive piece to repair those trails, so.
Right.
Don't know if they would word it that way or not, but,
Yeah, okay, good.
So just be aware we have drawings about how that is done,
good.
engineering drawings, so they could see
Yeah,
when they
make sure,
redo it.
make sure Jeremy has those,
He would.
Right,
so.
So he's got that, he's on that.
right. Okay. On the reservation fees, I saw those are at the top of the list here of fees and proposals and everything for next year.
Yep.
So what I would encourage members of this committee is to come to that select board discussion of these things on the 17th, in case there's any questions raised about that. since we've-
That's 17th of this month.
Well, they are discussing it within the board. They vote
Okay.
on it the January meeting.
Right, so there won't be any open discussion of that?
Oh,
at the
I'm
meeting?
not going to stop somebody from making a comment.
Okay,
I would never do that, but the point Beth is making is we won't sign off on it on the 17th.
Okay, all right, fine. All right, and on signage,
Actually,
I'm sorry.
just going back to the pricing stuff, one of the things that I didn't see here was, is the town still doing the 25% cost tickets or season passes?
So it's right here.
Right there.
What am I-
It's under the season pack, under the lift tickets.
Daily lift tickets, 25% off Camden residents.
Yeah, okay, but also the employees, wasn't there an employees
That hasn't
buy
been
season
decided yet.
passes?
They decide that probably at the January meeting.
Oh, you
Okay.
can, you can put it on here.
I
It's
was going
fine.
to say, I just wonder if that ought to, I didn't know if maybe that wasn't here because there wasn't a thought that they
You
were
probably
going to ask for it
should,
again.
probably should put it someplace so we have a tickler to remember to do it.
So town employees.
Yeah, you can do it at the end, and whatever you, just a
That we
footnote.
would put on our fee list.
Yeah, exactly, 'cause it's not for the
Our
public.
policies or-
Yeah, no, I didn't know, I didn't realize this was for public consumption. I thought this was more internal.
It's
So I wasn't
both,
sure.
but the employee thing is internal, so we should keep that internal.
Okay, fine. The other thing on signage approval, I think it was suggested that we, on those signs.
I'm supposed to reach out to,
Deb Dodge? Mm-hmm. Okay,
so.
all right. When
Just
you
for
do get in
coordination
touch with her,
purposes.
Doug, I'd like to be part of that too, if possible.
Okay.
All right, or if it's just a phone conversation, go ahead and do it, all right? Okay, any new business anybody wants to bring up?
I would just bring up a little bit about, I'm on it's not a committee, it's a working group, I guess, the mooring,
Oh, man.
inland mooring working group.
Oh, yeah. I saw that. You guys met last week.
We meet infrequently, but we do meet. And I think it interacts with the Parks and Rec because the town is the largest landowner of shoreline of McGonagall Lake. And currently, state regulations allow anyone to put a mooring in a great pond, which is the definition of a lake in the state of Maine over a certain number of acres. Whether or not you own shoreland or not, anybody, so anyone sitting in this room, anybody who comes to the state of Maine could go and drop a mooring as long as you do it in the correct zone, meaning not too far in, not too far out, and in a way that doesn't obstruct a channel, et cetera, et cetera. The whole issue, I think, came about because recently, within the last 10 years, for the most part, some non-shoreland owners have been placing moorings in the lake to avoid.
Brian, get close to the mic.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Primarily, at least in my case, and I've done this myself, to avoid having to launch and put your boat in, put your boat out, deal with, as what we know are very constricted and busy launch sites, such that you can canoe or kayak, or in some cases, swim out or float out to your boat. My concern is that this committee is interested in maintaining access to the resource. And for anybody to be able to get out over, say, to Land's End, which is, I think, aside from the Ragged Mountain Recreation Area in Sagamore, our third largest park.
I think it's larger than Sagamore.
Yeah, I can't remember how many acres it is, 75 acres or something. It's a good chunk of land that we may have an interest in being a part of that discussion that's happening. As I say, I've been on that committee, so I'm trying to represent what I think this group might be feeling, and that is that we shouldn't put unnecessary restrictions on people doing those things. We should restrict it, much like what I think is an excellent policy here for uphill travel, which is why safety is the primary reason. that we need to maybe restrict some moorings in some areas that would be proximate to launch sites.
And/or parking site.
And/or parking sites. So
That's the other major
current,
issue here.
yeah, it's sort of, as you can imagine, there is some dynamic interplay, I guess. Would that be appropriate, Jeff? From what you saw? Politics. Between the shoreland owners and non-shoreland owners. And, shoreland owners essentially, and this is a sweeping generalization, would like to see, they would like to see no non-shoreland owner moorings at all. They would seem to reluctantly agree to allow there to be a mooring zone that could accommodate perhaps a dozen or 15 moorings off of Bog Bridge in front of the Coastal Mountains Land Trust property, but nowhere else. Needless to say, there's others of us that aren't shoreland owners that try to represent that community, which says, I think it makes sense to have regulation for moorings overall, but they ought to apply to everybody. And we ought not to unnecessarily restrict moorings because we then take rights away from the populace. But if there is a designated mooring area where you wanted to intensively put moorings closer than what you might ordinarily do on the shoreland at 100 foot per, or 1 per 100 feet or 1 per 50 feet, that those might be more highly regulated. But it will end up getting into who's going to do that, and would it be Dale, who's our current what's Dale's title? Inland
Waters Warden or something.
Warden.
Harbor masters, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I think it doesn't include harbor master, but at any rate, there is some discussion. We're going to be meeting again, I think, next week probably to further discuss this. So if anybody were interested in weighing in on that, it would be a great opportunity. I'll let you know when that next meeting is. I think what will come out of it is there is no consensus. There are opinions about the various things. And that's likely what is going to come out from the working group, is just a variety of opinions. But I think what we ought to do is think about the impact on the resource itself, which is the lake and the town-owned property there, and the access to it, and what, if any, vision do we have as a committee and or particularly Parks and Rec Department to weigh in on that. It's a difficult, situation. As we say, the parking areas, the launching areas are extremely busy at some times, extremely non-busy at others. Obviously, we know we've got a concern about invasive species. If you leave your boat in the lake and you don't take it out, you reduce the risk of bringing in invasive species. You've got less vehicle to park somewhere. I oftentimes will run or ride my bike over to access my boat. My son can do that. I won't let him drive the boat with the trailer and try and back it in, but he can go boating because he can get over there on his own. He doesn't have a license, but when he does, he can drive, then he can take a kayak and go out on the lake. I know there are at least several others like that as well. So it's a tricky issue, and there's the issue of this year and maybe in other years when Casey Boy has been putting the barge in and out. Some of the moorings make it difficult. On the other hand, we all recognize that the launch was never designed for launching a vessel of that size, because if anybody's parked there, you can't do it. That doesn't mean we shouldn't let that happen, but, maybe that's an early season, a late season thing, and, say, hey, this day between 9 and noon, the barge is getting launched. This day, we're going to close the area down. Some reasonable accommodations, but I don't think an all or nothing approach is likely to satisfy anybody. And I think whatever comes out, and it's going to end up being in the select board's lap, is going to, have vociferous debate on either side of it.
What's the general argument from the landowner? Why don't they want the moorings there?
So,
Just sort of a
Their
NIMBY?
view.
yeah, there's certain landowners that
Taxes that
view
they-
it, and that's one reason I believe that that they're pushing for a restricted site, which is only be over off Bog Bridge, because there's very little view shed infringement. On the other hand, as we all know, and anybody who's done anything with property, you buy a house, you can protect your property, but if someone across the street wants to build right up to 15 feet of the road and up to 35 feet high, they can. You don't have any right to restrict that unless there's an ordinance or a zoning issue with it.
Right.
Like the Rockport Library.
Yeah, no, whoops.
Stuart, you're not on the committee yet.
That's exactly why you can say things like that.
Yeah, and there was also some concern that people express about, is it too congested in a particular area? What about the interaction between rowers and boaters and swimmers and kayakers and stand-up paddle boarders, that exist? If you have a mooring on the side of the lake, one of the rowers had suggested that, that's problematic because I'm rowing and I don't have eyes on the back of my head, and if there's moorings, I might bump into them. And so we've always launched shells and rowed along Turnpike there, Route 52, and there haven't been moorings past the launch site, but now somebody put a mooring out there, which they had the legal right to do, and
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I mean, I know when the lakes are ice and you put a fish hut out there, you have to have your name and phone number on it.
Yep.
Well, is there anything that they have to put on their mooring?
well, that's one thing that I think we can all agree on the committee.
I mean, is
On
that,
the working group.
that's a state law.
Well,
But what about for moorings?
Yeah, it
In the
doesn't.
harbor, they have to have a number.
Yeah,
And it's regulated, and that's the big issue, because to do that, now you're gonna have a cost to regulate, license, and you really need an inland harbor
Inspection.
master.
And inspect.
Yes, and there has to be standards for kinds of moorings you use. They're very restrictive in Camden
Very,
Harbor, as you
yeah.
well know. So it breeds, I'm sure that's been discussed, but it breeds a lot more issues.
yeah.
It would be for all the existing moorings for the landowners, you're going to impose that regulation on them too.
Yeah.
They would like not to see that, needless to say, saying it's been fine, we don't need to change it. Again, those of us that have moorings out there that are on shoreline would also say, it's been fine, there's no need to change it. But it is a contentious issue that is coming up.
Well, I mean, I remember reading other bodies of water, not necessarily in the state, but someone having a mooring and moving in a houseboat.
Right, and so we have not been tasked with looking at that by the select board, though that might well be something that makes sense, that is supported, that no overnights on the lake, because then you run into, what do people do with their porta potty, I mean, we have pump out service here, we don't have any opportunity for that on the lake, I think, again, those are some things that probably everyone could agree with, because right now, Ray could buy a houseboat, he could launch it, and he could put it right out in front of
No
someone's
taxes,
land.
imagine, no taxes,
Wow.
Ray. Sounds nice, doesn't it?
I think, though, good points, all good points, a very difficult topic. I think the Parks and Rec, as a committee, though, should focus on its jurisdiction, which is Barrett's Cove, et cetera, Bog Bridge.
launch
And
sites.
impacts, or lack of impacts, that's where their input would be helpful,
Yeah. Okay.
not the lake.
Brian, did the select board ask the working group to come back with a recommendation?
Yes,
And did anyone in the working group pose the issue of, if we don't come to a compromise, we're gonna have to deal with the select board coming up with something? Can't we put that as a goal? In other words, you got two partisan groups that have to work, you're gonna have to come up with something.
Well,
And
the intent.
Working at that level is a lot more interactive than working in a public select
Yeah,
board
right.
meeting.
Yeah, the intent is for that committee, and it's my understanding that they aren't too far, I may be wrong, Brian, you're there, to bring a recommendation of at least a first step
Yeah.
in regulation to the select
You don't
board.
want to vote for the minutes?
Huh?
You want to vote for the
I
minutes?
don't think you don't have enough.
A quorum anyways. No,
2,
three.
Brian?
3,
There's three of us, that's
Two,
all.
three.
that's not.
How
oh,
many
you need
people?
4.
Yeah.
I still need another committee member?
He's going to be,
I think it's on the agenda for next Tuesday.
right.
Hey, he told you about that Trotter Park, you better be welcoming him.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
Historical.
Next
Peace.
meeting? Yeah, next meeting?
Next meeting will be,
Did you skip over budget planning?
well, no, some,
Just trying to figure out this evening, she's leaving.
the next meeting, the second,
Eighth.
January 8th.
January 8th, okay. See y'all then.
Yay, bye, Case.
Thanks.
Hi, Casey.
By the way, the parade was awesome. The parade was so,
That was the best.
it was
Best, I agree with you.
better.
Best I've ever.
The parade? Me too.
So great.
Am I just not remembering?
It was better than I was.
Yeah.
Everyone said that last year too,
Okay.
but they keep saying it, so I'll let you say it.
It is this year, I
Beth, the
think.
reason I put this on the budget planning for next year is, I'm not sure what your schedule is with Audra and everything, but we have talked about in the past about maintenance funds, et cetera, and if there's any support you need from this committee on that, or involvement, we're here.
So,
Yeah.
I have my worksheets right now and, putting some numbers down, but, the Snow Bowl Road is still, it's a capital project that
Right.
was granted last year, but because of permitting, we ran out of time to do it.
Right.
That also includes the culvert.
Oh, it does include the culvert,
Yeah,
okay.
the culvert and the road and hopefully all the way in, not the whole parking lot, but in where the ruts are.
All the way to the corner.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
So that is to be done, it just didn't get done this year.
DEP requires the culvert.
Yes. Shirt Tail and Barrett's Cove, you know, we've gotten a couple of the engineer
Drawings,
plans,
right.
the drawings,
Yeah.
but we haven't,
It's now, what's the next step?
Right.
That's basically it,
right.
okay?
Late's Beach should be on there. We deferred, I don't know if I told you guys this last meeting or not, but we deferred putting in the
Swings
swing
until
sets
spring, yeah.
because we ran out of time again. And we didn't want to dig up soil and leave it over the winter, so that's a spring project now. Same budget, we have the funds for it, but if we wanted to do anything else for FY '21, we would want to budget.
Right. Okay, so what is the timing for you as far as?
Submitting
On the
numbers.
budget, submitting numbers. When, do you have a deadline? or
Yes, I
anything?
have a deadline. It's sometime in December, I believe.
Is it? Wow.
Sometime this month?
Yeah.
It's coming fast. Not that we couldn't modify things, but it's.
Yeah, so
coming fast.
it gives me time to present it to Audra. Audra then does her recommendations.
Mm-hmm.
Then we go to the budget committee in March.
Right, okay, yeah.
Is the tennis courts, is that in the wheelhouse or is it on the list? Is, because, the bottom line of that thing is either fix it or take it away. It's in terrible shape, and at least it should be a discussion point.
People can still play in there.
There they are.
I mean, yeah, I mean, do you have a number, dollar number
That's
for
probably-
work on the tennis courts to get them in shape for
Oh, I-
spring and summer?
Well,
Not fixed, but in shape.
There's a fence problem too.
there's a fence problem.
Fence is
but
the biggest problem.
So when we talked about this several years ago, Will Gartley said that it would be smart of us, the town, if and when we did the access road, we did the tennis courts, because we're gonna have the same machinery there needed to do the tennis courts. He had a whole recommendation on terms of how far we should dig down, what the layers need to be. So maybe.
not cheap.
Same kind of people that would do the work.
Because that's the plan,
Experts.
the plan for the access road. If you want that access road to last, we need to dig down.
That
And build
access
back
road-
up.
That was built by the CC camp in the 30s, and it's a swamp, all this only came across, and when they built the snowball, they came across the lake.
Well, it's going to be in the list because the ticket's not small. It's quite high.
That tennis court
It's
is
the
huge.
better part of 6 digits
The ticket for,
of dollars to fix the tennis courts properly.
Yeah, 125,000.
At least.
Easy.
At least. Because it's asphalt there and, there's underlayment and fence. So at least it should be on the list of capital
It
projects.
is. It is on the list.
And that's, as long as it's there, we can discuss it, that's
It's
fine.
just not on high priority.
But the argument that you just gave from Lil is that if you've got the equipment there
Well, I'm not sure,
and doing it on the road at this point in time,
yeah,
does it make sense to have him actually do that work or to bring the equipment in again in a couple of years?
I would love that the select board did a shout out to the community. How many people use this place?
well, I was just gonna say, for $150,000, how many season passes can I buy at MRC to play tennis? It's because, it's a lot of money.
Well, we have people that bring their dogs in there,
Well, they do,
throw tennis balls at their
oh, I
dogs.
see.
But it's only like two different
Actually,
people that do
I've seen
it.
birthday parties in there where the kids are using the surface to like do stuff.
So it would be interesting to know, because I know that there's a core group of people that have been talking about it for a long time.
Yeah, I don't know how
I'd like to
big
know
it
if it's
is.
10 people?
I don't know.
Is it 100 people
Good question, good question.
that actually use it? Not that they like that it's there, but
Yeah.
use it for tennis.
That's
Put a game camera out there.
But the word out to the tennis players.
Yeah,
I mean, it wouldn't,
okay, all right. Okay, fine. Well, if, as far as, what you're proposing for capital improvements and everything like that, for discussion and everything, if there's anything else you want to
Well,
throw out to us.
so there's a capital reserve account called Parks and Open Spaces. And over the years, we've put 5,000 or 10,000 in there.
Yep.
And those would be for Shirt Tail, Barrett's Cove, whatever. So I can request to put some more money in there if we want to continue working on the planning pieces for these parks.
Or the fixed pieces. We
Yeah,
should
or the
know
fixed pieces.
If Church Hill Point's going to require X dollars to fix it, we should know what that is. It can be an order of magnitude, by the way. You're not going to have an exact number, don't try.
Right.
Is it 20,000 or is it 80,000?
We have an estimate from the person who did the design at Shirt Tail of just
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
shoreline.
Yeah.
The shoring up the shoreline.
And we know
was
that
like
should be a
30,000.
priority because
It
of
should.
the erosion there, so.
Right. And that was like 30,000. if I
Still
remember.
only like this deep.
There's a drop off to get down there,
It's a drop off.
like
couple
this
feet,
big.
yeah.
Yeah.
People with any
Oh, you're talking
issue,
in
they're
the
not
road?
even gonna be able to get down there.
Yeah, and it's and I think it's one of the things that we're very concerned with, is making it and keeping it accessible. And, there's a lot of little kids who use that,
It's in the neighborhood.
families with little kids who
Neighborhood
use that
swimming.
park and go swimming there, and if
Shirt
we
Tail.
make it nicer, Shirt Tail, if we can make it easier, nicer, and safer
Yeah.
for them, that's important.
So from hearing what you guys are saying, I will get a number and I will put in, under that, Parks and Open Spaces, X amount to fix Shirt Tails,
Right.
water,
Right.
shoreline erosion.
Shoreline, yeah.
yeah. I wonder if, given how challenging it can be to, alter shoreline, because we want it as a beach, but you can't bring sand in anymore,
Right.
ever.
Right.
And whether or not it would make sense to consider something like what we have out at
Lake Beach.
Hosmer, which is with the float going out there and, something gentle so that people could, so that could be the access point, so we can repair the shoreline so it doesn't erode, but don't try and make that necessarily the access point, because that just may be so hard to do. And maybe it's a creative thought process of, hey, we just have a little section that floats, and it's got, a gentle thing, and it's got a ladder so people can get in and out of. So we've got safe access in and out of the water. And the shoreland, we want to protect the shoreland and let people play on the shoreland and all, but knowing that we can't make it a beach. I don't think we have that capability, because you're not allowed to bring material
Are we
in.
talking?
At Shirt Tail. Because you can't bring any sand in there. You can
No,
stabilize.
but
speeds on you.
we're talking about doing like a rock wall where it goes from grass.
Right.
to
And then
river.
a set of steps down
Yes.
into the edge.
Down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what
Hopefully
that's
the
what
sand will stay there.
Jeff
Sorry.
Senders came up with 3 options.
Yeah, that's probably a good
I've
one.
forgotten that was one of the options, because of course people love to have their kids like play in the
The muck?
Well, yeah, the sand, whatever. It's fun for the kids to be there. It's,
The goose muck.
yeah, whatever. One other,
Yeah.
There's a lot of poop out there the day we went and toured it. I wouldn't swim
yeah,
there.
well, the
Oh,
Adeling,
bloodsuckers.
the Adeling crew is still
Ryan, go ahead.
active. So the other thing that I didn't
Learn that stuff.
It's nature.
see here that I'm curious about, and again, it goes with the, sort of the uphill thing, is that I didn't see, and maybe I missed it here, the uphill pass. uphill-
Second page, third down.
They're down.
There it is, okay, beautiful. Awesome,
Maybe we should meet before this meeting.
fantastic. So, no, that's good, this is why I asked, because I didn't see
Yeah,
it.
it's all,
He was late, Jeff.
Now,
Just gotta be on time.
anything else anybody wants to bring up?
uphill day pass on here.
Okay. All right, so we're all set for January 8th for our next meeting?
I'm
Okay.
sorry?
We're all set for January 8th for our
Yep.
next meeting, and we have a hoped-for target date for starting skiing.
21st, we're hoping for.
Good.
I should have it.
We're done.
Snow tonight, tomorrow, and snow
Heavy
next
rain, heavy rain Saturday.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
If you turn into heavy snow, get the temperature down.
It's 50 degrees.
All right, good.
The water will go through.
Okay.
Brian, I said maybe a junior.
Hey,